welcome to my channel. My name is Lindsay A. Hustis, and I'm the owner of LAHther Artisan soaps. I've been making soaps for about 11 years now. What initially got me started? That's another question that I've been asked a lot. So I started making soap actually when I was a kid. My mom and I, we would do those melt and pour kits, you know.
You would buy the little base and the little like drop colors, and it was like a cute little thing.
And you would microwave it and add it all together, and that would be like,
you made soap.
And I just loved it. I thought it was great. Even when I was a kid, my family members would buy the soap for me. And so it's just sort of always been like, even as a child, I'm 30 now, I was like 8. And even then I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is great. But obviously I was like,
I'm going to be president, firefighter, painter, actress, model, singer at the time. So I was like, not thinking about soap maker at all.
But as I got older, I gained more interest in like, this soap is cool, but this soap is a better product, and that's what I want to make. But obviously my mom is like,
I don't know anything about this. This is a lot of work, a lot of time and effort. I don't think that this is what we're going to do with you being in school.
You know, being a kid. And I just still really wanted to do that. I wanted to make soap. That was like, I don't know what it was. And then my sister, when I was 18 or something along those lines, when I was a young adult, right before I started making soap, my sister showed me the movie Fight Club. And I know most people have seen, okay, so in soap makers, you have either definitely seen Fight Club and you hate people bringing it up, you love Fight Club and you think it's great, or you've never heard of it and you're just like, what? Why does everybody keep bringing up fighting? So I'm in the I love Fight Club camp. And like, it's definitely a movie that I don't know if it has aged perfectly. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think it's great for the time, maybe, but I still love it. I love the book. I love Chuck Palahniuk. He's just like an amazing author. I love his work. It's just a whole big package. Like, I just love that whole thing. And
you know, I thought it was so neat, the soap making that they show in Fight Club. I just thought it was so cool. Like,
they are taking this fat that they steal from, they're stealing it from like a liposuction clinic, and they are taking it.
And, you know, I just thought this was such a rebellion. Like, they're taking the fat of the rich.
You know, and that's a thing that a lot of people, you know, they stand that. But it was just like such a literal form of that metaphor. Like, they're taking the fat of the rich and turning around and selling it back to them.
Like how in your face, screw you can you get.
And I just thought that was so cool. Like, I was 18, 19, obviously I had hot pink hair and even more piercings than I have now. And, you know, it's just
rebellion.
But I wasn't really in a situation at the time where I could make soap still. I was living with my mom. She wasn't really cool with it. So as soon as I moved out, basically the moment I moved out of my parents' house, I started researching nonstop. And so this was like 2009. Yeah.
Bad math, guys. That's not good.
So 2009, and I was just like, there's nothing I can find, but the Soap Queen blog was such a great resource back then. It was just a lot more limited. It was a lot more discussion groups and blogs and
running these things through the calculator, making sure it works, and trial and error and testing. Like,
it took quite a lot of batches before I was ready to like sell those products. But I fell in love with it, and I had a neighbor at the time who she just kept saying,
oh my god, you're an alchemist, you turn these things into something else, you're making me, it's magic.
And I just thought it was neat. Like, it just made me feel really good. And over time, I just kept learning more and more and more. And yeah.
I'm just gonna keep making soap forever.
Another question that I've been asked is, what does cold process mean? I talk a lot about how I make cold process soap. My products are cold process soap. And the characteristics of cold process soap are, this is a product that's made with oil, such as olive oil. You can use animal products such as lard. You can use tallow, shea butter, coconut oil, any oil really. And you can find out how to make it into soap by combining it with sodium hydroxide, which is also commonly known as lye, and water, like a liquid. And it doesn't have to be water. You can use beer.
You can use coconut milk, you can use goat's milk, you can use juice, you can use tea,
any kind of liquid really, you can use it to make soap.
It's just so fascinating to me.
Anyway, sorry, I rambled a little bit. Cold process means that I am taking these ingredients and I am combining them with no additional heat. So when you mix sodium hydroxide with water, it heats up by itself. It becomes very, very hot. And that's part of why it's so dangerous. It can cause chemical burns because it's just like you add that chemical to the water.
It reacts. It is fuming. It is hot.
And so you don't really need much more heat aside from that. You typically leave your liquid oils at room temperature. So
those are obviously already liquid. Very easy to stir.
And you take your harder oils, such as palm, if you choose to use that, coconut oil, anything that will be solid, you heat that, warm it up until it melts. Now, some of these oils don't take very much. Like coconut oil, for example, that melts at 76 degrees. If you have the regular standard 76 degree melt coconut oil that a lot of people have readily available to them. Shea butter, I want to say, melts somewhere around 90 degrees. So you're gonna melt these oils until they reach whatever melting point it takes. But that's still not going to create a whole lot of heat. These really cool down pretty quickly, and a lot of people try to soap around about 110 degrees, but
I personally don't own a thermometer for soaping.
I let my lye water cool down quite a lot, sometimes 2 or more hours, and then I just heat my oils up to whatever is the necessary temperature. And as long as I guess the rule of thumb in cold process soap making is as long as your sodium hydroxide and your liquid oils, melted oils, are around within 10 degrees of each other, you're good to go. It's fine. It'll be great. And it's, again, around 110, 90 degrees. That's not something that's going to be very hot. That's like,
maybe hot water.
But when you make a soap using the process called hot process, as opposed to cold process, this soap making process incorporates a heating element of some kind. And some people, I have never personally done hot process.
So please do not take me as an expert in this method of soap making. I do not know what I'm talking about. I do not know the names of the phases. I have not made it. It is definitely a craft that is like way beyond me at the moment. I just haven't taken the time to try that particular type of soap making because I'm so comfortable in the type that I do make.
But with hot process, you use a heating element, like a crock pot. If you're very talented and skilled, the stove. It basically speeds up the process of saponification in a way. As soon as your soap has solidified and is like hard, from my understanding, you're able to use that. When you're doing cold process soap, there is a much longer cure time or a wait between when you're going to want to use that product. The saponification in cold process soap making is usually like 48 to 72 hours. There's like a pretty good time frame where you're gonna want to let that just do what it's doing. And with hot process soap, like I said, from my understanding, as soon as that's solidified and like good to go, you can use it. Both types of soap, you want to cure them. And curing allows any of the liquid that we had previously mentioned, water, beer, whatever, any of the water that's in there remaining to evaporate out of the soap. And by doing that, evaporating the water out of the soap,
that actually creates a much longer, a much harder, longer, and firmer. Curing your soaps, yeah. When you cure your soaps, it lets the water evaporate. Letting the water evaporate, that's basically why we cure it.
So that it can become really the best product, like aging like wine. That way it'll be able to sit in your shower and not just like disintegrate as soon as you use it. Let's see, where did you learn how to pipe soap? So, where did I learn how to pipe soap? I learned how to pipe soap actually with my experience working at a bakery in a grocery store.
It was quite an interesting experience.
And I actually have a video called Bakery Nightmare Soap inspired by that time. But I learned how to pipe soap because it's very similar to piping frosting, honestly, or custard. So my job at the bakery was mostly decorating like cream and pie type products. So I would like take the piping bags and I would fill them up with custard. So that gave me a lot of experience in being comfortable with filling up piping bags.
Which honestly is such a pain. Like, it's very difficult to just be able to be patient and fill piping bags.
So that definitely gave me a lot more confidence in what I was doing. And I didn't necessarily become good at piping while I was working there. I felt very limited and not very experienced in what I was doing, so it was very intimidating at the time. But now that I've applied that knowledge and experience to something that I'm really comfortable in and know a lot about, it's just become so easy. It just like clicked. It's just all natural now. It's just something that you learn over time. It doesn't come easily. It's, you know, some of the first things that I piped when I worked at the bakery were literally monstrous.
Like, disastrous. I kid you not.
So next question is, what is your favorite scent? So this one is really hard for me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm very picky about fragrances.
My boyfriend makes quite a lot of fun of me for this because I make a lot of soaps that I do not like the smell of. And it is not to say that these soaps smell bad, because they don't. They don't smell bad at all. They're like some of my best-selling soaps where people pick them up and they're just like, oh my god, I love it. But like, I personally cannot stand lavender. I hate it. I just hate lavender. Eucalyptus, which is funny because lavender eucalyptus is one of my top-selling soaps.
And it's not like anything against it. I just personally...
It is not my smell. It gives me a headache. I don't love it. I don't like the eucalyptus, something in the lavender. I really love, like, actually, I love lavender in my yard. But I just don't like, even the essential oils, the fragrance oils, it's something about it just, it doesn't do it for me.
But I really love, let's see, I really love the coffee kind of smells. Man, it's so hard for me to pick because honestly, like at the moment I have 60 different soaps in my house, like 60 different fragrances, and that's not even including the like 80 bottles of fragrance that I have sitting in my drawers that I haven't touched at all yet for like upcoming soaps or things that I'm gonna mix or, you know, any of those things. But I definitely think actually one of my favorite fragrances by itself is blackberry. It's like a fresh, ripe picked blackberry fragrance. It's from Crafter's Choice and it smells so good. So I think that has to be one of my favorite scents. Such a long-winded response for such a basic question because I cannot be simple. Don't know how. Let's see. Another question that is really good is it hard to own your own business? And oh my god, yes it is. It's so hard. I like it's really easy and simple.
Like, I'm my own boss. I can pick my hours. I can do what I want when I want to do it. Like, I can take a day off if I want to. I can be sick if I need to. You know, those things are really nice. I can pick and choose my schedule. I can, you know, like, if I want to go do something this day, I can decide, hey, I'm going to work this hour instead of this time, and then after.
You know, it's just a lot more flexible. I really love going to the events and selling my soap and seeing people one-on-one and being like, this is my product. I made it. I love it. And just seeing what they think. Sorry, I keep looking outside. It's snowing outside, and it's also, like, progressively getting darker, so I really apologize if this video is just fucking shit. Let's see. But it is. It's really hard to own my own business because you really have to be self-motivated. You cannot be one of those people that needs constant reassurance from other people. You have to be able to get up and even...
No one has looked at your shit. No one has looked at your pages. No one has looked at your business. No one has bought anything. No one has communicated with you or liked anything or any of that.
You still have to get up and keep going and make something new and do something new and do something different and have a positive outlook, and you can tell people...
Like, I'm sad today because nobody likes my stuff.
Because then you're just like, you're like fishing for pity, and that's not, nobody wants a business go on the internet and be like,
everything is hard.
Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to see that. That's just not professional.
You know, I can go on my own Facebook, I can go into my own shit and tell my friends, like, hey, I'm having a hard time. This is hard for me right now. I need some support.
But I can't go and expect that from my business. I don't know how else to explain it, because, like, yeah, I want praise. I want people to love everything that I do. But the reality of the situation is not everyone is going to love everything that you do.
Not everyone is going to, like, kiss your butt and be like, oh my god, that's a great artist. Like, no one is going to do that just for no reason.
And nobody owes it to you. You don't just automatically deserve it. You have to work really hard. And if you're taking your business, and
I mean, this is going to be shady,
but if you have this gigantic platform, this huge business, and you're taking that to go and say, like,
oh my god, I'm so sad.
Like, in all reality, that's pretty manipulative, and it's just not professional, because, like, yeah, you're gonna have people that love you, and they're gonna want to support you, so they're gonna spend money, but
that's great, and that's great. Like, I have people who love me and are in my family or in my circle who want to support me.
But it's another thing to go and do that on, like, my LAHther Artisan Soaps Facebook page. You know, like, that doesn't help me succeed. That doesn't grow my brand. That doesn't strengthen me in any way. So knowing that I have to find my support in my own life outside of my work is sometimes difficult. It is. It really can be. So, let's see. Would you, another question that I got was, would you ever consider mentoring another soap maker? And that honestly is a really difficult question for me. I personally, nobody really mentored me making soap. So I don't necessarily, so when I started making soap, there wasn't really a lot of resources available. And it really was important for you to develop your own individual identity and unique style. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with having a mentor or a mentorship or finding a mentor, any of those things, being a mentor, any of that. I think that is wonderful for the people who that really works for. But I've really just been sort of on my own for a long time. I feel like maybe my form of mentorship to the soap community or to people is like occasional messages. Like,
if I see that they're having a struggle, I'll be like, hey, you know, here's some advice.
And that's something that I try to do quite often, actually, is if I see somebody on Instagram talking about having a hard time making a particular thing, or doing a particular thing, or with a particular fragrance or color or method or whatever.
Not that I'm an expert in any way.
But if I have any experience with that thing, I will definitely talk to them about it and just, you know, try to encourage them and try to uplift them. And, you know, I've been making videos and trying to put sort of like what I can of my knowledge out into the world, just readily available and free.
But I'm honestly kind of scared. Like, I get scared when it comes to, like, one-on-one interactions and stuff like that, because it starts to become, like, a scary liability issue.
Like, this is a dangerous sort of hobby, I guess. A lot of people like to call it a hobby. It's my profession. It's a dangerous sort of thing because sodium hydroxide can be really dangerous. It can cause chemical burns and hurt you, and raw soap can still be very dangerous in itself. And also, you know, some of the things that one person does and works amazing for them, it might not work for somebody else, because there is no right way of doing anything, honestly. I mean,
unless there's something that's like, this is the only way it can be done, like, there's no right way to do something. Like,
something that I do, somebody else can do probably the exact same thing, and they're doing it differently, and they might even be doing it in a way that's easier than how I'm doing it, because it just is what works for me. Like,
I honestly have issues with my hands. I have hypermobility, so my joints will bend farther than they're supposed to. And so I kind of, like, personally, you might see it in my videos, I struggle with dexterity and motor skills sometimes because my joints will just, like, not want to work.
And so something that works for me and is the easiest way for me might feel weird and clunky to somebody else and not really work. And so I'm just scared I'm going to teach people the wrong things. Honestly. Let's see. Let's see. My last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I want to be successful. I want to have a wonderfully amazing and successful soap business. I want to have moved into a new place. My boyfriend and I are currently living in a really nice 3-bedroom house for just the two of us, and one of those rooms is dedicated to my soap. And it's amazing, honestly, but in 5 years, this is gonna be overrun, I think, with soap, and I mean,
hopefully children.
but you know, it's gonna be amazing in my dreams. It's gonna be amazing. LAHther Artisan soaps will hopefully have some employees. I will have a part of my home dedicated to just being a shop that I can actually like open and have people come and purchase soaps more often than just the open houses and events that I do. And you know, I just, like, when I think about what I see in 5 years, my heart is so happy. Like, in 5 years, I will have shared so much with you all. I will have shown you all how so many soaps are made. I will have hopefully learned so much and shared it with you all as well. You know, I just see really good things in 5 years, and I hope that you all will see really good things with me in 5 years. Thank you so much for watching. This might have been a doozy. It's my first video with my face in it and my voice and me being a human being and not just arms. So I really appreciate you watching this, and I really appreciate all the time and the likes and the comments and the Instagram likes and the Instagram follows and all of it. Like, you guys make me so happy. This is the happiest I've been in my whole life, and I just want to keep keeping on. You know what I mean? I just want to keep going, and I'm so excited to share that with you guys. Thanks.